Welcome to Engaging Experts, the podcast that goes behind the scenes with influential attorneys. Our guests will describe their practice and expertise. Then we will go deep on various topics related to effectively using expert witnesses.
Hi, everyone. This is Dan Rubin, the National Business Development Manager of Roundtable Group, and also one of the hosts of this podcast series, Engaging Experts. We have a great guest for you today. Ashish Arun is a legal tech entrepreneur based in India. He is a principal and director of research and operations of Expert Witness Profiler, Roundtable Group's trusted expert background research partner. Welcome, Ashish.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. Thank you. So I'm looking forward to diving right in. But before we do, here's a brief sponsorship message.
This episode is brought to you by Roundtable Group, the experts on experts. We've been connecting attorneys with experts for over 25 years. Find out more at roundtablegroup.com.
So Ashish, how did a lawyer from India, based in India, get into working for a company that researches experts in the US?
Oh, it's a total freak story, but let me tell you. So I was in my second year of law school, and that is when a few friends of mine told me about this guy from the United States who paid law students a few dollars an hour to do some online research. So as a student who was not we wouldn't get a lot of extra money to spend from our parents. So I was like, let's find out what this is about. And that is when I met Miles Levin, who is the founder of the Dauber Tracker and who is now my partner at Expert Witness Profiler. So he was outsourcing Dauber Tracker research to law students from my law school. And I started working a few hours a week with him. So after a few years, I realized that expert witness research is very interesting and has gotten a great business potential as well. So around the time when law school was coming to an end, Miles and we decided to start a legal research firm in India that would primarily work on expert witness research, but also do research for, other entities, legal publishers, universities. So for a few years we did that. But then when Expert Witness Profiler, the idea of Expert Witness Profiler came around, we decided that, we are going to stop doing any third-party legal research and focus only on expert witness profile. So that is the long and short of how a lawyer from India is now working exclusively in the expert witness field in the United States.
Right. Interesting. So tell us more about Expert Witness Profiler and the services that they provide.
So Expert Witness Profiler is a custom legal research company that researches expert witnesses. Now, it's different from, finding experts. We don't find experts. That's your domain.
Right.
What we do is, attorneys usually come to us to get information on the opposing expert. And then our company, it prepares these detailed reports where we find out about the expert's performance in court in previous cases. We go and check their background, the educational degree verification. Do they have any disciplinary actions against them in the past? Are their licenses and certifications current and active? So our reports include a complete snapshot of the expert and provides the attorneys with more or less a blueprint as to what previous cases of the experts they should be looking at. Have they been excluded in the past? If yes, on what grounds were they excluded? And does that help the attorney in taking the expert down in court in their case?
Sounds easy. I mean, there are no, it's not a difficult task, is it? Or there aren't any challenges to doing all that research on an expert, are there?
Kidding. I really wish life was as easy because information, the information is in the public domain. Again, because right. all these, when it comes to federal courts, all these documents are on Pacer, and there are document aggregators who provide search tools where attorneys can go and find. But all this research is very time. It takes a lot of time
exactly.
and effort. So, and our team, it does this day in and day out. So we have, we like over the years, we have developed these techniques and these search queries that we use to find this information very effectively, and we make sure that no stones are left unturned. So we like, no matter how much time it takes, we make sure that we have, like spent every resource at our expense to uncover every piece of information that is available about it.
You basically just described our business related to just within the context of research rather than actually finding the experts. And that's why, of course, you are our trusted research partner. I can attest to the fact that these reports are as comprehensive as you can possibly get with regard to researching your opposing experts or even your own experts. And making sure that there are no surprises at trial or before that in deposition. We, of course, leave no stone unturned in terms of finding the attorney's ideal expert that you would then research before either before the attorney retains them, after they retain them, or of course their opposing experts. So you did mention opposing experts specifically. Do you have attorneys who come to you to research their own experts?
So ideally, we would love for attorneys to research their own experts as well. But unfortunately, that's more of an exception than the rule.
Interesting.
And we have been trying to educate attorneys and talk to them about why it's really important to research your expert before you retain them. Because the last thing you want as an attorney is a surprise where your expert has been excluded in a similar case in the past.
Right. Yeah, I think it's more of Sorry, I was just going to say, I think it's really, to your point, it's equally important, if not more important, that there are no surprises with your own expert right. in depositions or of course, God forbid, at trial. Ashish, of course, you're very familiar with our expert referral service. Mm-hmm. We, as part of our service, one of the values that we add at Roundtable Group is that we provide interviews between the attorneys and the expert candidates. And in that interview, the attorneys can ask anything they'd like of the experts. Obviously, their background, if they do have any criminal history, potentially, challenges to their testimony, the results of those challenges, and of course, their expertise and so on. But we'd be remiss if we didn't recommend to attorneys that they do their own separate due diligence on the expert before actually using them at trial or as a consulting expert even. So, I think that's a no-brainer for attorneys to go to expert witness profiler for the experts that they're thinking of retaining too, unless, of course, it is someone that they have already done that true vetting.
Right. And ideally, they should be vetting because they are also, attorneys can be held liable by court for not doing appropriate due diligence on their expert. And there have been rulings in the past where the courts have fined the attorneys for not knowing who they were hiring. And then later the expert, it turned out the expert was not qualified and there was information that the attorney should have known. So it's also a question of personal liability for the attorney.
Right, exactly. And I, of course, know Miles Levin, your partner and the founder of Dauber Tracker and co-owner of Expert Witness Profiler. Great guy like you. Miles was telling me how one of the things that inspired him to create Dauber Tracker, if I'm not mistaken, was serving as an expert on his own. He really was kind of aghast to see how little preparation had been done. I shouldn't say little preparation, but the fact that the preparation of in direct examination of him, cross-examination of him, was not as thorough as he would have expected from an attorney. So it really just, to me, again, just drives home the fact that, well, obviously it was inspiration for Miles to get into the business. Yeah. And of course, it's a reason why Expert Witness Profiler is such an important and necessary resource today.
And another point that I would like to highlight here is that initially when the company was started, we actually designed the product thinking that experts should know what attorneys know about them. Now that's a very, that's a different angle altogether, because a lot of times what happens is that an expert would get challenged And then by that time, the expert's role in the case is over. And they don't find out what was the ruling on that challenge. A lot of times, experts just wouldn't know. So we initially started the company thinking that we'll provide a service to experts, and so that they would know what an attorney would know about them. And they would be able to explain a challenge better at the next deposition.
Right.
But then we realized that, okay, experts, again, maybe they don't appreciate the importance of information like this. A lot of experts do order their reports on themselves, but mostly we have seen that it's the attorney and the law firms who order these reports on opposing experts.
Sure.
That has been the primary use case.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the experience that we've seen too, when attorneys come to us looking to, asking for a resource for researching, doing background research on an expert. Invariably, it is on the opposing expert. So one thing I was going to ask you, Ashish, you mentioned these reports are relatively inexpensive. So we're talking, what, a few $1,000s, I assume, a couple thousand?
Oh, these reports are our most expensive product is $800 and with a 24-hour turnaround time. So we primarily try and keep them as inexpensive as possible. And a lot of times what we also understand is an attorney may order a full report. Now the full report is $495. So, and by a full report, I mean you get the testimonial history, the challenge history, the professional background, and the personal information on the expert. And those are $495. But what we also realize is that at times an attorney may order a report, and then the expert does not have much experience working as an expert witness. So the report may come back with no cases, and no challenges. So to take care of such situations, such instances, we also have something called a preliminary screening report, where only for $25 you can find out how much information you are likely to unearth on a particular expert. So it will tell you how many possible Dauber challenges are going to be on the expert, how many deposition transcripts, how many motions, breathings, briefs are out there which name the expert. So that gives our customers a sneak peek into the depth and the breadth of information they're likely to get on the expert before they order the full profile. And if you order a preliminary screening report and then upgrade it to a full profile or a challenge study, we adjust the cost of the preliminary screening report with the final price. So it's basically free.
It's so $495 for your most comprehensive report, and $25 before you even go into the research that's necessary for the expert witness profiler report, to ensure that there is sufficient information out there on the expert to justify the $495 charge.
That's correct. And we encourage all our customers to order the preliminary screening reports before they order the final report. And all our products come with 100% money back guarantee, no questions asked. So if you receive a report on an expert and you don't like what you see, if you think it's not useful for you, we simply refund your money. We don't ask a single questions. And I will not be exaggerating by saying that in 10 years of being in this business, we haven't had to issue a refund even once.
Wow. That's obviously, it's a product that you stand by and are able to back up with your word. Excuse me. So what would you say to an attorney who is maybe hesitating, debating whether or not to request an expert witness profiler report on their opposing expert or even their own expert?
I would tell them to at least order a preliminary screening report, because they are inexpensive, and you would at least be able to see if there are going to be Dauber challenges or not, if not anything else.
Right.
Because,
what do you have to lose?
Firm believer. I mean, I'm a firm believer of the fact that forewarned is forearmed. So the more you know about your own expert and the more you know about the opposing expert, it's better for your case. it may sound like a few $100s, but not knowing the right information and missing out on a case because of that is going to be much more expensive.
I think it's worth a few $100s for the good night's sleep. The thought of having such a surprise, of being surprised in court, of not being fully prepared, that alone, you mentioned a few $100s, but just the $25 first, just to see if there really is anything else out there, and even just proving the negative that there really isn't, that this expert has not testified much, if at all. Let alone ordering the full report for only $495. I mean, it's clients, of course, as you know, our clients, your clients, our clients' clients are all looking to keep costs down, to be more efficient. And so, to me, it is. I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's a small price to pay for that peace of mind and for that comprehensiveness of research. So, switching gears. On a more personal note, I understand from Miles that you are a bit of a home brewer of kombucha as well. So a true Renaissance man. Tell us about that.
So I got married a couple of years ago. So right after our wedding, we went for our honeymoon. And on the third day of the honeymoon, my wife developed chickenpox. So that was, and then,
fun honeymoon.
And then we come back. So once we come back from the honeymoon and we thought, okay, it's just chickenpox, it's going to go away. But then that eventually led to an autoimmune disorder. It's something called the Guillain-Barré syndrome, which affects the nervous system. My wife mentioned to me that there's this drink called kombucha, which she had when she was traveling earlier. And it's supposed to be really, therapeutic, and it's full of probiotics, and it might really help with her condition. We looked up on online kombucha outlets, and then I ordered some from the local brands in India. But we didn't really like the taste, and she found that it was lacking in taste compared to what she had earlier. So at that point, I made it like the mission of my life to brew the world's tastiest kombucha for her. And that's how my kombucha brewing journey began. So I was able to find some, like SCOBY is the symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast, which you need to brew kombucha. So I was able to find some on Amazon. That's when I started brewing. It's been a couple of years now. And I have like a 4-gallon batch brewing right now.
Have you ever thought of selling it?
I actually did. In fact, we came up with like a brand name, and then we designed a logo. I was going to call it Brew Mantra, but then the pandemic hit. So that plan went down the drain.
Maybe a future endeavor. I just have to say, I love that story. However, it makes me feel like an absolutely horrible husband, because I have not made my mission in life to make my wife happy. But I'm going to start after this call. So Ashish, this has been great. I really appreciate your time. I encourage our listeners to connect with and follow Ashish Arun on LinkedIn, to check out expertwitnessprofiler.com and their unparalleled expert witness research reports, and to send Ashish a note asking for his home-brewed kombucha recipe, if you're willing to share it.
Oh, I'd love to. Thanks a lot, Dan. Thanks for having me. It was really great being on the show, and I wish you the best.
Thanks for listening to Engaging Experts. Be sure to click subscribe so you don't miss our future episodes.